You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today's Friday review, I want to take the time today to actually share with you an amazing lab test that anyone can run at any age that will actually show you your biological age versus your chronological age. And this is amazing in terms of data because it lets you know if what you're doing in your life right now, in this moment, let's say over the past 90 days, because that's what we're looking at with these red blood cells and white blood cells, are those things leading to a shorter life, a life with potentially more health disease, Alzheimer's, cancer, many different aging-based markers that we'll be looking at? Or is it one that's giving you more life, that's actually making you younger? Because that's the difference between biological and chronological age, is that your chronological age is simply the number of birthdays that you've celebrated. That's literally it. So if you are 45 years old, okay, well, that's your chronological age in terms of birth, from when you were born to today's date. But biological age is something much different. It is the age actually of your organs, your cells, of really what your body believes it is from a physiological level, not a number-based level, because honestly, people have said it before that number or age is just a number. And that's true in terms of chronology. It really is, but not true in terms of biology. Biology is actually how old you are, how fast you're aging or not. And I think this is a really great example to look at because we all know that there are people our own age who look far younger than us, or they act much younger than us. And then there are those people our age they look like they're 15, 20 years older, and that's how they act as well. And maybe not just comparing ourselves, but just in general. Like, I know myself, I work with people in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. And I'll tell you right now, some of these people, you would never guess in a million years that they are 70 years old. Like, no chance whatsoever would you say that person's 70. You might say that that person maybe is 50, maybe early 50s maximum. And the reason is this. They have been following a nutrition plan, an exercise plan, things like that I'm going to get into in just a moment, of how we can actually decrease our biological age. But they've been doing those things, and you know what? Their cells are responding because our cells are these living things. They're these living, breathing, respirating things that literally will give us more life if we give them more life. Now, there's a flip side to that, and there always is, right? There's this dichotomy of life. And the problem is, if we're not feeding those cells properly, or there are imbalances within the body, they're going to show that on the outside, because the outside of our body, our skin, our hair, our nails, our mood, all of these things are symptoms or signs of what's going on internally. Is our body literally oxidizing, breaking down the free radicals on the inside? I don't know. And that will show, though, on the outside. And we can also lab test for that. So this test that I'm talking about today, I've actually known about it now for about 7 years. And 7 years ago, I was looking into it, but not too in depth because there's so many other labs, that a person can run. And, when I meet with someone in my private practice, whether, again, it's over Skype anywhere in the world or it's actually in Boston, I want them to get better very quickly. And to do that, I want to know what's wrong with them. So I'm looking at some in-depth labs. Maybe there's gut function, or maybe it's hormones, whatever it might be. And so what I didn't look at was some of the overall much larger biomarkers that are really telling me what's going on in a person's body. And again, this was 7 years ago, a little different in my practice now. And so when I was introduced to something called telomere testing, I said, well, this sounds interesting, but I'm just not ready yet to add it to my practice. And now flash forward 2-3 years ago, I've been doing a lot more of it. And the reason why is because this is giving people direct insight into their actual biological age. There is no other test right now that I know of that's actually showing you from I like to say like a macro perspective, looking down 30,000 foot view over, let's say, your body, like inside of your body. If you could look at all of your cells of what's going on from an aging perspective. This is literally showing you how quickly your body is aging. And also potentially it means how prone you are to certain disease, heart disease, inflammatory diseases in nature, potentially cancer, potentially Alzheimer's. I mean, this has been studied now for over 30 years. This is not a brand new test. It's just now becoming more available to the public. So keep in mind, another reason why I didn't do it 7 years ago is because everybody who was going to do the test would have to have a blood draw. And then I would have to have our mobile phlebotomist come to them, or they would have to go to a hospital. It was cumbersome. It really was. But again, about 2 to 3 years ago, things started to switch, and now we can do a simple finger prick right at home. Very, very simple. Anyone can do it. Now, what is it really testing though? Like, what are these things called telomeres? Well, essentially, this is it. They are the end caps on the end of all of our chromosomes. And when you think of our chromosomes, I want you to think of cell replication and our DNA. When our cells replicate, every single time they replicate, they need these telomeres, these end caps, to protect them. And they protect them from oxidation, they protect them from breakdown. Well, the more our cells replicate over our life, the shorter these telomeres become. And that's part of aging. And then eventually the telomeres essentially wear away. And what happens then is those cells stop replicating, or they replicate incorrectly and out of control, which could potentially lead to cancer. That's why these are being studied so in depth. Now, another analogy I love to think about this, because this is kind of like a big biological based process that we're talking about, but very, very simply, think about your shoelaces. At the end of your shoelaces, like your sneakers will say, you have these plastic tips at the end, right? It makes it easier to lace up your sneakers, but those plastic tips can wear away with use. And as they wear away with use, you get this fringe of the shoelace. That's basically what you're looking at. When the telomeres are strong, they're like a brand new piece of that plastic. But the more you wear out the shoes, the faster those end tips break down. And those are the telomeres. Now, there's one other part to this, because I don't want you to ever think that there isn't an answer. There is. You know by now, listen to the Cabral concept, that I'm always saying, if I'm giving you this test, it's not going to be all perfect and it's not going to be all gloom and doom at all. I believe that you should have your telomeres tested so that you know now, no matter what your age, of what you can do to improve it. So let's just go with 45. Even if you're 45 years old, and your telomere test comes out with a biological age of 55, you say, oh no, I'm aging too fast. I'm going to have more of a mortality risk. I'm going to die younger. Not true. Not true at all. Once you have the data, there are actually things that are scientifically proven to increase something called telomerase. And telomerase is actually a protein. It's an enzyme which can increase the length of the telomeres. It's amazing. So remember, we're talking about now true anti-aging. When people ask me like, oh, well, what do you do for anti-aging in your practice? Well, here's what we do. We get people to a healthy weight. We get them well. We rebalance the body. And we do all of these anti-aging based protocols to not only help them achieve that weight loss or wellness goal, but at the same time, they're working on their aging. Now, what do we do specifically for anti-aging? We do this telomere test, and we also do a genetic test. Those two things are going to tell us what a person is susceptible to. And then the telomere test, the reason why I like this is it's inexpensive, and also it tells you how much work needs to be done, and it really gives you a nice little kick to get started. And that's because, let's say you are 45 and you come up with 45. Okay, your telomere test said, okay, your biological age and your chronological age match up. Here's my recommendation. Don't say, okay, good, everything's good. No, get that biological age down to 30 or 35 years old. You can literally do that. I've tested people who are, well, all different ages, but one person specifically that I can remember in general, 35 years old, their telomere length came back as a 19-year-old. That's pretty remarkable. Now, this person was healthy, all of these things fit, but they're at 19. That shows you what can be done. I love having the ability to then have the data marker that says, okay, here's where you are today. But if we do the right things over the next 90 days to 120 days, and we decide to retest, we know that scientifically and physiologically, you should be able to actually reverse your age biologically. Forget about the number. Again, the number will never change. It's just another little notch. That's it. Okay, one more year older, one more year older. But I honestly believe, because I've seen it in my practice, I look up to people right now in my practice. I have a bunch of people that I've been working with for a while who are turning 50 or just turned 50, and they are in remarkable shape. They look like they're literally in their mid-30s. It is unbelievable, and I aspire to that one day. And same with 60-year-old and same with 70-year-old. I'm telling you right now, the people that I have the privilege of working with, I mean, it's almost like time has slowed down for them. And I don't say that just in terms of looks, because I'm really not into that as much. I think that's a great side piece of this. But what I talk about it is in terms of youthfulness, in terms of vitality, in terms of zest for life. That's what I care about. I don't care about all the other stuff. But yes, if you have shorter telomeres, you're more likely to wrinkle. You're more likely to get age spots. You're more likely to have all of these things. Why? Because shorter telomeres also correlate with an oxidative process. That means your skin and those cells can become oxidized and essentially just rust out. And that's what you see in your skin. Wrinkles, age spots, all of those things that you don't want. But again, I care about that for sure. But I know this. I know that if I increase natural cellular energy, I know if I decrease free radical damage inside of the body, that not only will you get the healthy, vibrant skin, hair, nails, all those things, but your mood will be improved as well. And again, we see that through the research. Longer telomeres, hopefully longer life. And that's what we're seeing again right now as well. But also, it is the biological youthfulness that we want, that I want. I know right now in the state of my practice, I'm helping people rebalance their bodies so that they don't have any more of the migraines, the food sensitivities, the gut-based issues, the autoimmune issues, the skin issues, all of these things. Like I'm deep in that. That is what I do, and I help people with that on a daily basis. But I know that once my book comes out, once I've written all the articles on it, once I've done all the videos on this, I'm just going to point to all of those things. The next frontier of my work will literally be helping people say, okay, get well, follow these videos, follow this work. I've done this before with people. I know it will work for you too. And it'll be very economical. And it is. That's what we try to do. But then it's really the frontier is anti-aging. We are moving so fast with anti-aging in terms of medical science that it's mind-blowing. Literally, they're doing these tests right now on lab rats with different animals, and they are adding additional telomerase, which is the enzyme, like I said before, that's lengthening the telomeres. We are seeing massive increases with health, with longevity, and that will eventually be able to be transferred over with people. So what does this mean for you as I'm wrapping up right now? Here's what it means. If you keep yourself healthy, and you get yourself healthy, and you get yourself to a good, healthy weight, and you give yourself, again, another 20 years for this breakthrough science and genetics and all of this to come to fruition, you will be able to live longer, stronger, a happier, better quality of life. But it starts today. It starts with getting yourself healthy today. It starts with getting to the right weight today. You do that now, you keep yourself well, and then you get to take advantage of this in the next decade to 2 decades. But my recommendation, again, I just completed this lab myself, can't recommend enough to you. I do a lot of lab testing on myself, and I did my genetics, I've done all sorts of different labs, and I keep up with that on a yearly basis. But telomere testing right now is exciting me. It really is. I've done it with so many people. I'm like, I have to do this myself. So I just completed this test literally last Thursday through a company called Years. What I'm going to do is link up their company information in the show notes today. So it's going to be stevencabral.com/567. The reason why I chose this lab is simple. They are backed up by scientific data. They're using the actual blood. So not only are they using the blood instead of the saliva. I like both, no doubt about it. But I like this company because it's more backed by science, if I can use that for literal terms. But also, I like ease of use. You know that all the labs that you can find right now on stevencabral.com/store are simple to use. You literally do them at home, whether it's urine, hair, saliva, and it gives you a gateway into into your biology. It goes well beyond just surface level homeostasis of the blood. And with telomere testing along the same exact lines, you do a finger poke just like you would for a food sensitivity test. And literally, this is even easier than food sensitivity test. When I did the test, I did 1 drop of blood. All that I had to do was put it on this little Q-tip looking thing. It's a little stick like you would have if you were type 2 diabetic. I put it into a plastic container. They gave me an envelope. I put it in the envelope and I shipped it back to them. That's literally it. I'm going to get my results back in about 4 weeks, they said, 4 to 6 weeks maximum. And then when you get your lab results back, I think the nice thing is as well, is you're going to get a plan. You're going to get a plan that actually shows you, no matter if your biological age came exactly as your chronological age, if it came back younger, or if it came back maybe a little older, you're going to get a plan that's going to help you reduce that biological age. And that means we know, I'm just going to give you a little bit. I'm going to teach more about this in the future because I don't want to go on and on. You know that I could. Is that by controlling stress in certain ways, by increasing exercise but not overdoing it, by improving the amount of antioxidant-rich food in your diet, by practicing things like meditation, hatha yoga, we can actually extend our telomeres. And by doing that, we can live a longer, healthier life. And again, it's not just about length of life, it's about health. And we know we can do that by looking at certain biomarkers that show oxidation, that show inflammation. And that's why I wanted to bring this test to you. I'm excited about it. Of course, I'm going to run it because that's how much I want to see my own data. And I'm going to share my data with you in the future. So if you're interested in running your own telomere test, simply go to stephencabral.com/567. We're going to link up the telomeres lab test that you can order right there. We'll send over the link and you can actually have it shipped right to your home. You'll be able to complete it right at home for yourself, your partner, whoever you would like to do it. And you'll be able to compare also your biological age versus your chronological age, which is going to give you so much insight to how you're doing right now in your life. Thank you everyone for tuning in to another Cabral Concept. Really appreciate each and every one of your listens. And if this episode could help anyone else, if they might find it interesting as well, please feel free to share it with them. Take care. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.